live with our current year threes who have just finished their dissertation. It's been handed in. So we've got Chelle and we've got Megan. How does it feel, guys? You finished your dissertation, it's handed in. How are you feeling?
So good. So glad to see the back of that.
Chelle, you just told me as soon as you handed in, what did you do?
I flew off to Spain. I needed some sunshine. I needed some rest and relaxation.
Oh, nice. Meg, what did you do? Any celebrating?
Well, I handed mine in at work. So about 5 minutes after I handed in, I had a class full of kids come in.
Oh no. Rather be in Spain.
I handed in on the Thursday morning, so on the weekend I went home and celebrated with my family.
Oh, nice. Did you do the classic print off the front cover? Nice.
Yeah.
Good work.
I went to campus and took a picture.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you guys are current year threes. You've just finished your dissertation. Can you tell us very, very briefly what is a dissertation for those that don't know? And then we'll go on to what yours was about. So does anyone want to start off? What was the dissertation?
It's an 8,000 word assignment where you go out and you collect some data and then you write about the results. And it seems really daunting, but actually when it comes to it, it's not as bad as what it sounds.
And it's called the independent project. So a lot of it is you are left to your own devices. You have a supervisor. Meg, I was lucky enough to be your supervisor, but you'll be assigned a different supervisor, and we meet in weekly meetings where we can offer advice, but a lot of the time students lead the sessions. Do you want to mention anything about the sessions and how it's different to normal seminars?
I remember the first set of meetings we had before the lit review deadline was very much focused on the lit review, and then after that deadline everybody was sort of at different points, so it was very much just us asking questions what we needed to find out to work through our next chapter.
Yeah, we'll come on to the structure in a minute, but do you want to just tell us a little bit about your dissertation, your independent project? Chelle, if we start with you, just very briefly, what were you looking at?
So mine was on outdoor learning, and I was looking at the affordances and constraints of outdoor learning, but also given that the curriculum for Wales was only brought in September in 2022, I was looking at its position in the curriculum for Wales.
Okay. Meg?
And mine was on the challenges of pupils with English as an additional language in accessing the curriculum within the early years and foundation phase.
So, people listening to this now, probably in year two, they're going into year three and they're thinking, how did you even get there? So how did you decide on these titles? How did you start to think about and narrow down to this focus? Chelle, how did you come about this?
There was a module in year two that we started looking at dissertation and considering kind of the topics that we'd like to cover. You have to pick a topic that you're interested in. You have to pick an area that you're interested in, because you have to write 8,000 words and you're looking at it from what you're researching from October until you hand it in. So do not pick something you don't know anything about, or do not pick something that you're not interested in. So I had a real interest in outdoor learning. And then the second part, where I looked at the placement of outdoor learning in the curriculum for Wales, that actually came about as I was doing my dissertation. I realised that there was something missing. When I was speaking to teachers, in some schools it was compulsory to do outdoor learning. In some other schools it wasn't compulsory, but they still did it. And then in others there was hardly any outdoor learning at all. And I realised that perhaps the curriculum for Wales wasn't highlighting it enough or being clear enough.
Great. And Meg, I know you had that moment where you were the independent project, you felt that, I'm managing this, I'm conducting research in a school, I'm finding out things people didn't know before. So tell us a little bit more about yours.
So I came to my topic because I'd spent a lot of time last year in a Cardiff primary school that had a very high percentage of EAL children, and I loved my time there thoroughly. I was in a year one class, so that's sort of where the early years and foundation phase aspect of my dissertation came from. I knew I wanted to do something based on the early years and foundation phase, and it over time came about of I can't really find a lot of research, especially in Wales, about EAL children and how they access the curriculum, so I thought I'd do my dissertation based on that.
I think that's important as well, to have a rationale, to have a purpose, that maybe you're out in schools or maybe you've had a module you've been interested in and you thought, oh, you know what, I want to know more about that. That's usually a good starting place to do that, definitely. Yeah, I remember the first time that you were in that meeting just thinking, how am I going to do 8,000 words? So just to explain to those that are watching, it's not just, you don't do 8,000 words at once, you do it in separate chapters. So how did you find doing that? Either can answer that.
I personally found doing it in chapters a lot easier than just being sent off to go and do 8,000 words, because my schedule's quite busy, so having just one chapter at a time really helped my focus.
Yeah, so we start off as soon as you come back in, you'll have the summer, you come back and you do your literature review. So it's broken down into different sections and you'll focus just on that. And then you'll come on to your methods, then you'll come on to go and actually get ethics and those sort of things. Chelle, how did you find it? Because I know you've both mentioned, you've got a really busy schedule, both working. Chelle, you've got children. So how did you find that?
I won't lie, it's really full on. When you're doing your dissertation, when you start it, when you start in the third year, you've got so much going on. So you've got your dissertation, you're applying for PGCE, which means you're doing your personal statement for UCAS. You've then got your interviews, and so you need to do your interview prep. And alongside that, you're also doing modules as well. It's a lot. I'm really glad, actually, that I started my research and my lit review over the summer, because I felt really overwhelmed having already started that when we came back, because it just felt like there was so much work that we needed to do. So yeah, that's my advice, is start early on. You've got a whole summer. Start doing your research, start reading, start picking up books, know which direction you're going in, because that will help you so much when you get to the end of September and start back in year 3.
In the summer, like Chelle said, I didn't really necessarily know what I wanted to do my dissertation on yet, but I still had, from reading I'd done or other modules from previous years, I still had a bank of quotes that by the time literature review came around, I could go back to. So half of my work was done for me without necessarily realising it.
Yeah, and as well, things you can do is over the summer, meet with careers. They can definitely help with your personal statement. I think things like getting your CV in order, just even thinking about, do I want to do PGCE? These careers are brilliant. They can help you actually write your personal statement. If you have that out the way, as Chelle said, you've got all modules going on, you're working, it's a really busy time. If you can do some of that in the summer when, you're not doing a great deal, definitely try and do that.
Yeah. And I would, you said about careers being able to help you. Oh my gosh, Mel is so helpful with your UCAS forms and doing your personal statement. Definitely utilise her. She could not be any more helpful.
Yeah, all praise to Mel and careers. Well, all the career team are absolutely brilliant. If you want to engage with careers, they have come into sessions. Just go onto the student portal, careers. Their diary's up there and you can just book in with them, and they are really, really useful. And their education careers as well, so they know about personal statements and those sort of things. In terms of, we've mentioned a little bit about the structure of the year, managing work, managing childcare and things. Do you want to mention anything else, any other tips maybe that helped you? Because you both were really good at managing your time. How did you manage everything?
That's literally, like, you just need to be good at managing your time.
Yeah.
You need to have your days set aside that you're going to work on stuff. Have a timetable, especially with your modules running alongside. You need to be dedicating at least one day a week to working on your dissertation. And then, you also need to be on campus. You also need to be doing your research for your modules. But yeah, at least one day a week dedicated to your dissertation, because otherwise you're just going to feel really overwhelmed and like you're falling behind. because you do have deadlines that you need to meet. They're not formal, like handing in a module formal. They are informal, but they still need to be met if you want to get feedback on what you've written so far for your dissertation.
Yeah, that's really good advice. So the way that I mentioned the chunking, so we'll work first of all on the lit review. There'll be an informal submission, so you guys will hand in to your supervisor, will give you informal feedback on how it is. Some people don't make the deadline, they obviously don't get feedback. So it's a lot more mature, there's a lot more autonomy for students that if they don't hand in, they don't get that feedback during those times. So I always say to my group, try and get something in, try and get a mind map in, try and get some bullet points down, so at least you're right on the right path. Meg, do you anything? You had a lot going on.
I was going to agree with exactly what Chelle said. So our campus days this year were Monday and Tuesdays. So I was working in schools Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Mondays and Tuesdays were the days where I could get any work done that I wanted to throughout the day. Whereas Wednesday, Thursday and Fridays, I was limited to evenings only. So managing your time is key.
Yeah, and I think it's that consistency of, Chelle used to do it every day or every week. Even if you're just doing a few hours every week, it's just keeping your head in with it. Even if you're just chipping away at, even sorting out subheadings or mind maps or graphs or whatever you're doing, at least you're chipping away at those 8,000 words. There's nothing worse than just this blank document staring at you. Try and get something done each time. So what were your main challenges then? You've mentioned about time pressures. What other challenges did you find?
Just life throws stuff in. You get ill. Like a lot of it's done over the winter. The other thing is, I would say, is to start making your contacts now. So if you haven't got contacts in school already, start getting contacts in schools. One of the biggest challenges that I came across for dissertation, it was recruiting participants. I fired off, I think, 20 emails to schools in North Cardiff, and I didn't have one response, even when I followed it up with a telephone call. I was just hitting lots of brick walls, lots of, schools are really short on staff, so staff don't have the time to dedicate to me coming in to be able to do my research. And I did end up having to rely on my contacts to be able to get my foot in the door for schools. That was, for me, probably the most stressful part. The most stressful 2 weeks that I had was getting so worked up and panicked that nobody was going to help me with my dissertation.
But again, it's definitely something you need to think about. But utilise staff, utilise friends, family. Watch out for Meg's eye roll here, because I said this throughout. The power of chocolate, actually going in to a setting and just saying, can you help at all? Can I speak to any staff? Handing out questionnaires. It makes such a difference to actually going in person than actually sending an email, because unfortunately schools are really, really busy places, and unfortunately students' emails usually are at the bottom of the pile for a busy head teacher. So actually going in, it makes a huge difference. Or like you, Meg, you were working in a school and that helped.
Yeah, I was very lucky in that regard. So the two schools I did my research in, one I was there from after Easter all the way through the summer term last year, and then again until October half term. And then the other one just up the road, I've done a couple of odd days here and there. So I kind of already had my face known in the building as well. And I'd also, it's a little bit cheeky, but sort of mentioned I was going to be doing dissertation research and what it was going to be on at any given point, so that when I sent my emails, it wasn't that much of a surprise to the schools that I wanted to complete my research.
Yeah, and in my experience as well, teachers, they've been through the same thing that you have. They've had to have done the dissertation themselves, so they are happy to help, but it's just finding the time. So sometimes if you're in a school, or you can just manage everything and say, look, turn up at this time, I'll do an interview then, we can do a group interview. Or if you send questionnaires via social media, sometimes things like that can help as well.
I think everything we've talked about, though, it all comes back to one thing: time management. Do not leave everything till the last minute. Do not leave your research till the last minute, contacting schools till the last minute, because it does all take time. So you need to manage your time and know, you can't start really contacting schools to recruit them until you've had your ethics form signed off, which doesn't happen until January. But as soon as you've got it like run with that and start contacting schools.
Yeah, it's probably worth mentioning. So obviously the lit review, we review the student will review all of the literature that's out there. We then come on to methods, methodology, ethics. So you have to have your ethics form signed by your supervisor. So you've got to know about your research design. You need to know about what methods you're going to use. Are you going to be doing questionnaires, interviews, observations? So, by the time we come into January, you need that all done. Then you need to be going out to conduct research, usually around January to about, hopefully not later than March. And then you've got that time then to analyse your data and actually write up until it's gone in. We've talked a lot about the challenges. What did you enjoy? Because I think we're talking about the latter part now. And I definitely saw with you, Meg, I saw that you did sort of enjoy it towards the end. Yeah. What elements did you enjoy?
I actually quite enjoyed conducting my interviews because I was being the interviewer, not being interviewed. And I did semi-structured interviews, so it was quite nice to be able to, if a teacher had said something and I hadn't had that in my list of questions, I could sort of divulge from my set list of questions a little bit to sort of pick away at that and then come back to my list of questions, which is how I actually came to my recommendation in the results of my research based on my semi-structured interviews.
Yeah. Chelle?
I won't lie, I was not enthusiastic about doing a dissertation. The thought of going out and doing fieldwork and research, I don't know, I wasn't really enthused by it. But when it came to doing it, when I started to collect my data and then I started to see patterns and stuff emerging and the results that I thought weren't going to happen did happen, and then things that I didn't think was going to happen, did. I actually really enjoyed that. And then I really enjoyed writing up my results and finishing off my dissertation. And not just because I wanted to get to the end, but I actually really enjoyed doing it. And I was glad by the end of it to see the back of it. But I did enjoy the period in between of actually writing it. After my lit review onwards, I probably enjoyed it a lot more than what I thought I was going to.
Yeah.
On the back, Elle said just there, when you see, so I did thematic analysis, when you see the themes and your results start to become a little bit clearer, it's almost like the sun has just come out on a really, really dark and grey day.
Yeah.
It's so interesting as a supervisor just seeing the change in that it starts with denial, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Through to, oh God, I've got to do this, to you're actually going out, you're collecting the research and you see, we use your Sunderland analogy that, oh wow, I can do this. I am actually conducting research in a school. And then it was awesome. In the last few meetings, we were talking about, oh, I found this. Oh, there's recommendations that could actually improve practice. So, it's that change of...
You've literally described how I felt. That is literally the process that I went through.
The roller coaster.
Yeah, it is a real roller coaster.
Yeah, but I think, for both of you, we'll talk a little bit about what you're going to do next, but I think it prepares you so well for whatever you choose to do next, as you manage that project. You are managing an independent project. So what are you both planning on doing? So you're year 3 now. What's the next steps?
I'm starting my PGC in September at Cardiff Met.
Me too.
You're saying that with a lot of hesitation there, Chelle. I thought you were going to say I'm...
No, I am. No, I'm starting it. It feels a little bit overwhelming. I'm always a little bit overwhelmed by the unknown though. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I actually can't wait to go into the classroom and to start feeling like a teacher.
Yeah.
At the moment, we're both doing supply work as TAs, and it's great, but you just know, like, you can't wait to get to that next step.
Yeah.
Not be the TA anymore, but to actually start behaving like the teacher.
And what's great with the independent project, the dissertation, you have become experts in your field. So, you've got outdoor, you do anything for a year, you become, you expert level. So you know a lot about that, which you can then take into assessments for PGC, or, some of our students are going into masters or different fields. So, you are going to be able to have those transferable skills as well. Meg, your PGCE Cardiff Met as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything you want to say about starting and?
I'm same as Chelle, a little bit apprehensive about starting. I'd quite like to, just get started with it really, but I'm also quite looking forward to having a summer.
Yeah, it'd be a last summer. Enjoy it. Any final advice then for year 3? So we talked a lot about dissertation, but it's a busy year. It's very different to year 1, year 2.
It is super different because even though your dissertation is called the independent project, actually you get a lot of independence throughout all of the modules. You get a lot of free kind of run with what you want to do with those modules. They're not as restrictive as the modules perhaps in year 2. You're a little less supported, which perhaps sounds a bit scary, but it's not. It's actually really nice to have that free reign. And to put your own stamp on the modules. I really enjoyed that.
And just before we go on to yours, Meg, I think the nice thing as well is that you have that weekly contact with your supervisor. So if you're unclear of anything or, you just wanted to ask someone, you have that weekly contact with your supervisor. So that sometimes helps. Meg's probably not going to agree with that because I was her supervisor. She was fed up with me.
Actually, I think the weekly supervision meetings are quite important to go to because even though I worked on a Wednesday when ours was, we quite often had a meeting after school hours, which is normally only about 10-15 minutes when it's one-to-one because you've just got a couple of questions to ask. But no, they might feel like stupid questions, but once you've asked someone and someone's gone, no, you're not being stupid, it's okay, like it feels better. But also in the dissertation, 8,000 words feels like a lot. It's really, really not. Chelle and I had a Teams meeting one morning over Easter, and I think we took about 300 words out of my lit review just to get my word count down.
When I finished writing, my dissertation was like 9,500 words. So yeah, it sounds like a lot because all of your modules are only 4,000 words. And then when you think about it, you're like, oh, that's 2 modules I've got to write together as one. But when you get onto it, actually 8,000 words is not a lot. You're really restricted. So it's not as big.
And that's broken down as well. So, you've got
it is.
Intro, abstract, then you've got your lit review. It sounds like a lot, but, when we have those first few meetings, it's not as bad as it sounds, and it's broken up through the year.
It is, and all you need to do, just remember to keep referring back to the rubrics for the dissertation. So the the marking criteria, because on there it gives you how many words you need to be doing for each section and what you need to be aiming for if there's certain marks that you're looking for. But yeah, when you break it down into a certain amount of words per section, it's not a lot.
Any other wise words for year 3 advice?
Have fun. Just remember it's your last year. You might not all go on to PGCE. You might have all decided that perhaps being a teacher is not for you, or you want to go in another direction. So yeah, just remember to have fun and go out and do stuff with all of your fellow student friends.
It's funny you say that, because I've just been doing a reference today, and I was just chatting to her, and it was her last year, and I said, similar sort of question. She said, do you know what, I just wish I did more in the uni. So many things that go on, like there's global opportunities. We got students going off to Fiji, we got some students going to Rwanda and things. Any opportunities that come up, try and jump on everything. It doesn't have to be international travel, but clubs, societies, stuff that's going on, try and get involved because it's so important. It goes so quick. And then the world of work. Oh, the world of work. So enjoy this last year. Meg, anything you want to say on that?
Well, a lot of societies and clubs obviously weren't running for our pretty much first 2 years because of COVID. But I would definitely say if you can join some sort of club, it'll help you make deeper connections. Obviously, the Pest Society will help make deeper connections with people from your course, but any sort of club will help you socialise with people from uni.
Awesome. Thank you so much for these wise words of wisdom. You will be missed, and good luck with your next steps in your teaching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.